My name is Drew Blackwell. I am a fashion photographer. I do portraits, e-com, basically anything related to commercial fashion photography.
Yes. Do you see, or what do you actually say the most to models who are just starting?
The number one thing that I say to everybody is, and this is true, so for me, fashion photography and for models, it's not just a regular picture. You know, it's a heightened fantasy. So everything is amped up. So I always tell everyone, if you don't feel a little bit stupid or a little bit silly doing whatever the pose is, then you aren't doing hard enough. Like you need to, because it doesn't show up in the picture, it won't look as weird as you feel. But if you don't feel, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. It's like people might think that they are being overly dramatic in front of the camera, but they're not thinking about the fact that the camera is just going to capture one frame, and that frame has to be dynamic and have passion. So what it takes to get there can feel weird. You know, it's like just like over and over again, but you're waiting for that 1 second where you catch it. So I would tell people, get comfortable with being uncomfortable and know that you're gonna do a lot of stuff you never would have done because these aren't natural situations. You know, all of it is highly orchestrated and designed and put together. So I tell people to do that, not to take it so seriously. And then usually what I try to do is also, hopefully when speaking to any model, try to connect on something that is emotional for them. Because if you need to get a good close-up picture of them, like a new headshot, and I really like shooting that black and white, really simple, but I like to do that because I notice a difference if no one else does in the picture, in their eyes, if you've connected about something more meaningful as opposed to just, you know, when they trust you, if people trust you, they give themselves to you more, and it shows in the pictures.
Yeah. And do you normally also say, like, think about this or think about that, or just you leave that to the models, or?
I'll give them I do give direction. Like, I'll give plenty of direction. And if you're a complete beginner and you are stiff as a board, which is fine, everyone has to start somewhere. You know, I've posed people like, actually, like, lift this finger, do this, you know, tilt your head. I've done that. But it's good for them because they learn, you know, from the get-go.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll give like an image for them to think about. But I think the best pictures, honestly, are when you catch them and they don't even realize the picture's being taken. So often, those are the best. Like, some of my favorite pictures are always, if you're doing a shoot and the makeup artist says, like, oh, hold on a second, I have to fix whatever, their eyelash or something for that second, because the model doesn't think the camera's going to be shooting. I usually shoot while it's happening.
Yeah.
And those are almost always like some of my favorite pictures. So learning to relax as if the camera isn't there as well.
Yeah, so, that's a good one.
Which is weird, because that's like the opposite of being overly dramatic and serving it. So it's like finding a balance between those two.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And also, would you say, and maybe that's a really hard question, but would you rather have the models moving constantly, or a little bit slower, or like more taking different poses, or what would you prefer?
Well, I think it depends. Sometimes I'll shoot a model who moves too quickly. And a lot of that depends. This is a helpful tip, models should be conscious if you're shooting with someone. If you're shooting and it's a little bit darker, it's not really bright, the camera is gonna have to be shooting at a setting where it's a little bit slower. So if you're moving a lot, all the pictures are gonna be blurred. Yeah. So if someone's moving too much, I'll say everything you're doing is perfect, just slow it down by like 50%.
Yeah.
And most models who really are working models, the main thing that they do is they just wait till they hear the shutter. And then when they hear the shutter, then they'll go to something else and they'll hold it until the shutter. And that's just like the rule. You know, you just have to instinctively decide what is my next move, commit to it, and then just wait till you hear a click. and
Yeah,
then do something else.
that's true. Well, I always get the questions. What are there some poses that you can always do?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I really like close-up pictures of faces with hands on their faces, like, or like kind of like touching your face. I really like that, like close.
Not like this, huh?
No, not yeah, not that. But I think the best way to learn posing is to get a full-length mirror and set it up in front of you. Turn on some music or something that makes you. Let's talk about that. That is crucial. A very powerful tool to get the picture that you want. If someone is low energy and you need to hype them up, or if they're moving too fast, you want to play something slow and kind of sad or sexy or whatever, you know, it helps set the tone. Wait, what were we talking about?
No, yeah, the to-go-to poses, but also indeed, like, how can you practice?
Yeah, so I actually think the best thing to do is to look at fashion magazines, because ultimately this is where you're headed, ideally. The goal is to be one of the people in these magazines, or to be yourself in the magazine. But so what I like to do, actually, I'll just get 1 second.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so for example, so take something like this, right?
Yeah.
Even this is a really solid pose.
Mm-hmm.
So doing something like this would be like, look at it, look in the mirror, set yourself up.
Yeah.
And once you feel like you've gotten it, what I tell people to do is like, close your eyes when you have the pose and just feel what your body feels like when you're doing it. The more that you do that, you like train your brain to memorize what it feels like to be in those positions. So eventually it's second nature and you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And then once you've done that pose, I mean, you can literally flip through any magazine. It doesn't even have to be a picture that you like or that you would put in your book, but just get comfortable doing stuff. You know, you have to be comfortable with your body. You have to be able to move. I'm trying to see if there's a better one. Yeah, just honestly, this is the way to do it. Just look through and duplicate the pose as well as you can and just keep working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Movement is really important in fashion photography. If you're not doing like just e-com, which is just very straightforward and simple, but if you're doing like editorial shoots, movement is usually really important because you're selling garments that are three-dimensional that the person is going to wear ideally if they buy it. So they want to see movement. It makes it more dynamic. So, but luckily for models, a simple way to get that movement is even as something as simple as like a hop. Just a simple hop. You don't have to do like a full interpretive dance and throw yourself around the room. Just a little movement will, you know, turn the skirt just right. Or, you know, lifting your arm this way, the sleeve of the blouse, you know,
Yeah.
little things like that. So the goal is to, of course, like look your best, but also you want to show the clothes off because that's what you're ultimately selling. Like, ultimately, you're trying to sell stuff. So if you don't make the stuff look pretty and look cool, it's not going to sell.
It's not gonna sell. No. Yeah. That's also a lot of people think like, oh yeah, modeling is just sitting and looking pretty. No.
No. It is. I would say, I think there's a certain amount of it that is just about looks, 100%. But you and I both know, anyone who works in this industry knows that there are so many people who are astoundingly beautiful and aren't successful because they don't have the right like temperament or personality to be able to do the job. Because you have to make yourself accessible to people. You have to be friendly, but not too friendly. You know what I mean? You can't be. It's rare that you're going to be the super beautiful, shy, weird, non-communicative person who just books all the time because people are obsessed with you. That's a rare thing. That happens, but waiting for that to be your career is maybe not like the smartest choice. It's a people business.
Yeah.
Especially like if you work with a new client as a model, you want to leave the very best impression possible on them because they might hire you again. And you don't know who those people know. And so if you totally kill it on a shoot and you're great, you're professional, word of mouth is everything. You have to establish your reputation at the
Yeah.
beginning of your career and always keep working on it.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's, oh, that confidence is everything.
Yeah. And listen, and this is the real truth, and I'm sure you've experienced or seen this as well, but most of the most beautiful models that I've worked with, most of them actually, my impression is that they're quite insecure
Mm-hmm.
and that they don't actually naturally have confidence. So it really is a learned behavior. It's not something that you're just going to wake up one day and go, "Oh, I'm confident now. I'm a vivacious, outgoing person." No, it's not going to happen. You have to practice and build yourself up.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of practicing, and so good. And can anyone work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can follow me at Drew Blackwell Photo on Instagram. There's a link to my website there. You can book a shoot with me, reach out to me, ask questions, depending on the job. And yeah, if you're in LA, once this is over, if this is over, COVID,
I know.
yeah, you can book a shoot with me. And if I travel, into a part of America like I've done before to different states, sometimes I do that. I might do that again after this,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see how it goes.
It was so good to talk to you, and
Oh, so good to talk to you.
good advices, and I love your pictures. It's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
What you say, I do see that people trust you. And
Yeah.
no, really, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mandy. We love you. Oh.
So if you want to know more about the modeling industry, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. And maybe also you can leave in the comment what kind of questions would you ask these experts. And maybe I will ask it the next interview.